Welcome to Home Story with Veronica. I'm Veronica Diquez, and today we're diving into the people, places, and decisions that make a house a home. You're watching Now Media Television. Welcome to Home Story, where every home has a journey and every journey has a story. I'm your host, Veronica Diquez, and today I am joined by Tiffany Dearman, a seasoned real estate sales coach with over 26 years of experience helping agents and teams succeed in competitive markets. Tiffany is passionate about helping professionals serve buyers better and build confidence through proven systems and smart strategies. Tiffany, welcome to Home Story. We're so glad to have you here.
Thank you so much, Veronica. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. Today, we're starting with something that so many people relate to, the emotional roller coaster of buying your very first home. The
Yes.
problem many buyers are facing is that purchasing a first home feels overwhelming, and
Yeah.
it often feels like they don't even know where to begin. With the right guidance, preparation, and emotional support, that fear can turn into confidence and clarity. So, Tiffany, when someone says they're scared to start house hunting because they don't know what they don't know,
Right.
how do you help them take that first step with confidence?
I love that. So, the first thing I share with clients, which is phenomenal, that there is a buying process. Back to my research, there's a way that buyers say they want to buy, and I call it backflip. That's
Okay.
an acronym. And if I do my job really well, then hopefully I'll be backflipping people into their new homes because they'll be so excited. So that's the goal. The backflip stands for budget, area, community, floor plan, lot, purchase agreement, and personalizing your home. And so what I do is first I explain that to clients so they can see that they can also own the experience and they can know when they're ready to make a final decision because we break it down into individual parts and it's easier to digest because it is a little overwhelming. And backflip starts with budget. And a lot of buyers are very intimidated by the finance process and budget and just understanding all of that. So that's where I start, oftentimes with especially first time home buyers, is talking about budget, what they're comfortable with versus what they'll actually qualify for. And I go through all of that with my clients. But I think the most important thing is just alleviating their anxiety and their fears by helping them understand that there is a process to this and you can know when you should feel confident in making a decision.
I love that. That is so well put. I've never heard it that well put before. I need to learn that. And
It's
Tiffany,
really
what are
good.
the most, yes, I love that. What are the most common misunderstandings first time buyers have about the process, and how do you simplify things so that it feels actually doable?
Right. So I would say one of the very first things that buyers will misunderstand, a lot of times they're on the internet and they're searching and they don't realize when they reach out to a real estate agent that they are reaching out to a buyer's agent who can show them homes anywhere. Most of the time, they think they're going to call and talk to the listing agent on every property they're interested in, and they have to tell their story 15 times. So, one of the first things I explain to them is at this point, now that we've connected, you can call me on any property you have interest in. In fact, I want you to do that because I'm going to do the research for you. Buyers don't always understand the buyer agency agreement. So I'm going to explain that to them and the value in having a real estate broker who's going to make them a priority and helping them find a home, even when they don't have time. They're a priority for me. Holidays, things change, but I'm always looking for them. So I explained that to them. And then just the idea that it's a busy market out there, and I have a lot more people who have had maybe a little disappointment because they didn't make an offer on what they thought was the perfect house. Then I have people who are disappointed because they did. So I try to set really good expectations with them about that. The purchase agreement. What are you agreeing to? What are you committing to? What is the seller agreeing to? What are they committing to? Showings, 24 hours is typically the
Mhm.
standard, but buyers will call you and they're so excited, like, can I see this house today? And I'm like,
Yes. Can
let's
we go in 30
go.
minutes?
Yes, can you drop everything? And you're just like, you know what? I could, but I will guarantee you that 9 times out of 10, that is going to be more of a demotivator than a motivator because I need
Yep.
to do the research. So I will say, let me call. Let me make sure this isn't an as is property. or that, it needs to close on a certain date. There's just so many,
Exactly.
they don't understand that there's realtor notes. That's another thing buyers don't get, right?
Yes,
They
we see stuff
understand.
they don't see. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm like, let me look at the realtor notes, which again immediately establishes your value as a realtor. And then let me call you back and then let's see, when the seller's okay with us getting, and then like, oh yeah, I forget people might live there.
Yeah, exactly. They have a dog. They have to make sure that the dog is out of the house.
Right, all of that stuff. So I
Yeah.
really try to go through that just a little bit, just enough for them to feel once again empowered and educated about the process instead of that information trickling out one conversation at a time. And then it gets frustrating because they don't know what to anticipate.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
expectation setting solves a multitude of problems.
I 100% agree because if they know a little bit what to expect and maybe even expectations on the unexpected that could happen, it
Right?
just prepares them so much better because if anything like that happens, then they're like, "Oh, you did mention this was a possibility." And it just
Absolutely.
takes that stress away from them. I 100% agree with that.
Yes. And they're not going to remember everything you say when you say it. But
Correct.
if you say, remember when I said this, then it'll come back to them because it is a
Yeah.
lot of information, and you do try to break it down in bite-sized chunks so that they can,
Yeah.
receive it. But I find that it really works well to explain that buying process and then to just walk through just the process of looking for a home and what you should expect. And I'm going to set up a search for you, and you're going to get these properties, and you might get them before I actually get them because there's 600 homes that come on the market every day. And so I can't, possibly keep up with all those. So if you get one, just, let me know if that's one that you're really interested in. And I'm looking to, and I'm going to send you my suggestions so that they know how the process goes.
I love that. I love that. And speaking about, if somebody is going to buy their first house, they're probably very excited and they're very nervous.
Yes.
So how do you help buyers balance that excitement and nerves so they don't shut down or rush to make a big decision?
Yeah. I find that a lot of times the shutting down will come from either not being able to find what they think they should be able to find in the market or missing out on properties. That's when I find that people will just be overwhelmed and want to check out. So I make sure I set a clear expectation. What are you looking for? And what have you, just online, have you seen anything that fits that? So that they can remind themselves that the market is the market is the market and it
Mhm.
has what it has. And I want you to be realistic about your price range and the area you want to be in, what we're going to see. And then when we see it, they just trust me more because I actually gave them accurate information. So I think if you do a really good job of that, so they have realistic expectations, and if it's like, hey, now's not the time, maybe now isn't the time, or maybe it's just expectations and need to be reset. And then rushing into it, I probably have that a little bit less. They're rushed to see a property, but they are typically not in a rush, to make the biggest decision that they're
Yeah.
making in their lives. But that can happen. So that's where the whole buying process comes in. And what I didn't say is in each of those stages, budget, area, community, floor plan, lot, purchase agreement, personalized, there's probably four critical pieces of information in each of those areas that they need to understand. Like when you're talking about area, I'm going to ask them, what kind of access do you want around town? What do you want to live close to? What kind of everyday conveniences? So they don't miss important things. And then they're really frustrated once they move into the house, like, oh man, I didn't know Walmart was going to be 20 minutes away, kind of thing. So that's how
Exactly.
we help them not rush, is to make sure that they're thinking through the really important things.
Yes. You definitely don't want to get buyer's remorse on a house.
Right. No, that is not a good thing.
That is painful.
That's an expensive proposition.
Yes, yes. No, how important is building a relationship with a trusted realtor before writing an offer? And what does that relationship look like emotionally, in your opinion?
I think it's critically important. Trust is the highest form of human motivation in any transaction. So it is everything. And I think it looks like, well, what I tell my clients is if I'm your realtor, you're my family. That's what that looks like. I'm going to treat you like I would treat family in terms of being shooting straight with you. I am going to be
Mhm.
straight up honest about, what you're looking for, budget, all of those things, and try to really consult you, especially with the finance part of it. But you know what? I don't think it has to take long. My expectation when I meet with a client is the first appointment, they trust me because they see me as competent. They know I know my market. They know that I understand the important decisions and they know I can get them. They feel confident I can get them to their end point, what they want to do. And I can do that pretty much with a whole, lot less hassle. Like I'm going to take the stress out of it for you. And so once I, equip them and educate them so that they feel empowered, they trust me. Like I feel like that you can gain that you can, make a friend and not necessarily make a sale. I think people appreciate someone who obviously is sensitive to their needs, but also very competent at what they do. I know I appreciate that. So,
Absolutely. And
yeah,
I think when you inform your clients and your buyers, they make such an informed decision that, like you said, it takes away that hesitant part of it or that buyer's remorse that they maybe change their minds later on. It's just all of the information that you're giving up front. It's truly changing the entire experience for
yeah,
them from the very beginning. And being honest is one of my favorite things. I mean,
yes.
sometimes I tell my clients, listen, this is your wish list. That's adorable. We don't have the budget for your wish list.
That's right.
So what are you willing to sacrifice? Because
That's
we're
right.
just not going to find it. So
Right.
I absolutely love your approach. I think it's amazing. And coming up next, we're actually shifting from buyers to sellers
Okay.
and talking about how to prepare a home strategically so it truly stands out in today's market. We will be right back.
Perfect.
We'll be right back with more stories, strategies, and inspiration to help you write your next home chapter. This is Home Story with Veronica on Now Media Television.